Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lucas Live. It is May 21st, 2020. We are still in the middle of the coronavirus COVID-19 madness, but we are making the best of it each and every day here on Lucas Live. If you're watching this years in the future, you may be wondering what life was like for us during this crazy time. It was crazy. It was crazier than you're reading about. It was crazier than the YouTube videos you're watching to try to understand it. It may be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you may be watching this. And we want you to know that times were tough, but we were persevering. We were making it. We were pushing through, and great things were being born in the midst of a difficult time. So if you're watching this now or in the future, if you're watching this by replay, if you're watching this live, we want to encourage you guys today to come in, engage, enjoy this broadcast. I have a great guest today who has an emotionally charged, powerful story. I just don't know how to put it into words. When I heard the story, I was moved, saddened, yet encouraged. And the ups and the downs of his story are just captivating. They are inspiring. They are moving. I talked to my wife about it after he and I talked, and I knew Chris and I knew of Chris, but I didn't really know the full story. I had been a follower of his for so long and have watched his journey, but I didn't know what was really going on. So BeachBody trainer Chris Downing is with us today. We are excited to have him here today. We're going to have a great show. We want to welcome everybody into the broadcast. We also want to say right now, for people here in Ohio, I'm a Canton, Ohio native. There have been some wonderful people in our community who have passed away recently. Timothy Longshore passed away recently. All our prayers go out to his family, to his friends, to all those who know him and love him. I didn't personally know him, but all I hear is all the amazing things about this guy, how wonderful he was, how caring, kind, just a good guy. And we just want to let everyone know that our prayers are going out to the family and friends and loved ones of Tim Longshore here in Canton, Ohio. There's been too many losses. Too many great people have left this community. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to hold on to our loved ones. We have to tell the people we love them while we can, because tomorrow is not promised for any of us. And it's devastating when we lose those that we love. So prayers up for him. To Tommy Brewer, Minister Pastor Brewer's family and friends and loved ones. He was a dear friend of my father's. He was someone who was special to me. Pastor Brewer, for all the love and all the support and all he did in the community. He gave to his community. He loved the people. He shared with the people. He gave to the people. He had, I remember he had books in his house. He had a bookstore in his house. And you could go in there and get Bibles and books. And he was all about sharing the word of God. Shout out to Pastor Brewer, to all of his family. So much love. He was one of my father's closest friends and someone who was really special. I remember when my father was in prison, he brought gifts to my mother on the first wedding anniversary that my mother and father weren't together when my father went to prison when I was a child. And he brought balloons and gifts from my father for my mother. And all my father my father was in prison. He couldn't do it for himself, but his friend cared enough about him to do something like that for him. Pastor Brewer was such a special guy, and I have all the love in the world for him and his family. So we just want to say that today. There's a lot going on in our community locally. We understand that people are grieving and dealing with some pain. Today, as we talk to the great Chris Downing today, he's going to give us a story of inspiration. He's going to help lift us up. Somebody today really needs to hear this. Somebody watching this years from now, you really need to hear this. Somebody watching this days from now, I'm looking at you right now as I look into this camera. You're going to need to hear this story. Don't turn away. Don't turn it off. Don't look at how long the broadcast is. Don't worry about any of that. Just say, this is the message for me. There's somebody out there who's a trainer and you want to take your training business to the next level. There's somebody out there who's a baker and you want to take your baking business to the next level. There's somebody out there who's a consultant or a singer or an actor or a writer or any number of things, and you want to take your business and your life to the next level. Chris has a story for you. And not only that, he has a philosophy, a mindset, a coaching program, something he can help you with and take you through. If you want to get some help from him specifically and personally, he can work with you, not just on physical fitness, but on mental, spiritual, emotional fitness. He can help you get ready. So shout out to everybody who's joining the broadcast. Thank you guys so much for your comments. Thank you for joining. We appreciate it. We love your comments. To our Lucas Live audience, the livest audience, we thank you for jumping in live. To those who are watching for the first time, again, my name is Lucas Tyndale. I am your humble host, and I have the pleasure and the privilege of interviewing such amazing people And today is going to be on fire. If you notice at the bottom of my screen here, there's some fire going on because I expect nothing less than fire today because I've heard this story and I know what it did for me. And I can only imagine what it's going to do for everybody out there watching. So please share this broadcast so that others can see it, so that others can tap in. Thank you for being here, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Periscope. You're all a part of the family. We welcome you. We thank you for being here today. And I don't want to prolong it any longer. I want to welcome in our special guest today. He is the founder, creator of BeachBody's Shift Shop. He is a business owner of his own training facility. He is a motivational speaker, a coach, a mentor. He is someone who we need to know. If you don't know him, you better know him today. You better follow him from now on. I want to welcome to the show, Mr. Chris, and then help us understand the fact what that means that you are a BeachBody trainer.
BeachBody Super Trainer. That was kind of the platform that really took me to the next level. I wouldn't say that it brought out the best in me. I felt I already had the talent. I just needed the opportunity. And so, BeachBody's produced some of the most amazing talent. Sean T, Insanity, Tony Horton. Actually, Tony Horton's one of my mentors, wow. P90X. I talk to Tony often. And wow. They got some great talent. Amala, they just brought on Amala. Amala trains a lot of Lakers, NBA players.
Okay.
Joel Freeman. It's a whole host of amazing, talented trainers, man.
Wow. Most of us have seen or tried a little bit. I don't know if you tried one of those workouts and didn't make it through, say something in the comments. Say, I tried it. Most people tried, I did a P90X, I think P90X is like 90 days, I think. You know what I mean? I think I made it about 12, you know what I'm saying? A good 12, maybe 13.
I might have made 16.
Okay, you made it 16. Okay, so we weren't alone. I was like,
yeah, man,
this ain't working. And then Insanity. I didn't even mess with Insanity because it was called Insanity. And I was like, I don't think that's the workout for me. I don't like to do Insanity. But you're a trainer. This is something that you've been doing. Where did this start? Was little Chris, were you an athlete? Were you always into fitness? Where did this journey start for you?
Actually, it wasn't even my idea. It was my uncle's. He had a dream. He had a dream that I would become a trainer. At the time, I was just modeling and acting, and that's all I wanted to do.
Right.
And I've done, quite a few national televisions, a ton of, print ads and things like that. But that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an actor. Okay. And so my uncle had a dream. It was crazy. He told me, he said, I had a dream that you was this trainer and you was global. And he was like, people were wearing your clothes and, your program was impacting lives. And I'm like, yeah, right. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so what did it, man, is when he passed away. Like, he died unexpectedly of a heart attack. He literally lived a block away from me. I talked to my uncle twice a week. Wow. And it was just this 1 week, man. This one day, normally we talk around, 1 o'clock, and I didn't hear from him. And little did I know he was, he had a heart attack in the shower at 8 a.m. I knew his schedule, and they didn't find him until 8 o'clock at night. So he was in the shower for 12 hours dead. And that broke my soul, man, because he was like my father figure. He was my best friend. He was actually my friends, they called him Uncle Jay. You know what I mean? So it was a moment of, it took me to a really dark place. I slipped into some major depression. And it was in that moment when I realized the only way that I could heal was to ask him to live through me. And I just said, you know what, you want me to become a trainer? I'll do it if it's fun. If you're gonna go with me. And that's what I did, man.
Wow. I love that. And you and I talked about the fact that I lost my mom recently, right? And I shared my story with you as you were sharing that. And you said, let her live through you, live for it, do it, do everything that you guys ever dreamed of and talked about and let it come out in you. And that's literally what this show is about. I pushed go live a month and a half ago. And I was like, it's for my mom. My mom, Miss Viv, she loved everybody. She was kind, caring. She was about education, motivation, liberation. When I think about it, she was all about us getting an education. She wanted us to be motivated to do something with our lives. She didn't care what we did. She would just do something. And she was liberating in that she had a free spirit. She wasn't bound by all the rules that the world puts on us and people put on us, and we get trapped. Can you talk to that a little bit? People are not living their dreams because they're stuck in boxes that weren't even created for them. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, include myself, because I want to be very cautious of how I deliver, because again, I was in that situation. So I think it's more of, I think all of us have, genius level talents. I do. I just think most of us are anchored by memories of the past. I think we're anchored by, our childhood or, setbacks or failures. And then when when that's your mindset and that's all you draw people to you to keep you in that place. And then when someone comes in your life to shine light on it, it's almost foreign to you, and you almost disconnect yourself from it. One of the most powerful things that I realize is how hard it is for people to take a compliment. You know what I mean? You tell a person you look nice today, the first thing they say is, you know what, stop it. I just threw this on. Man, just say thank you.
Wow.
It's something as small as that, because people, I just feel like they're living their life through the lenses of other people and not living through their purpose, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. That's huge. Shout out to our audience right now. Everybody who's jumping in, they're loving what you're saying already. They got there's claps. They got the clapping hands going on. They got fire jumping out. They're loving it already. Something as simple as taking a compliment. I mean, it is oddly true that for some reason we feel we always have to put ourselves down. Can you talk to us about the power of our words? And we're going to get into your story, because I know your mind shifted, your belief shifted, your words towards yourself shifted. But help us understand that if you compliment me and you say, hey, Lucas, I'm really loving your show. Your show's doing great. And I'm like, well, this little thing, man, I'm just barely putting it together. I'm struggling to keep people to hit the mute button and keep people on the show. That's not good for me, right? Help us understand that.
Well, it's a lack of identity. Like, explain to me how, regardless of what you do, you was created with a gift and a purpose to do great things. Yeah. So, if I'm complimenting you about your show and you constantly tell me why it's not as good, you're cursing your own show. Like, those are your words. And so, I look at it, let's just say, you do something like that. I can't look at you. I got to look at what you've been through. What are you anchored to that's on auto repeat in your mind? Just reminding you that you're not good enough.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? And oftentimes that's some form of like unforgiveness or resentment you have towards somebody in the past. They're renting space in your mind, like they're living their life through your lenses. So you actually telling me their doubts and not yours, because you in bondage to yourself. You see what I'm saying?
Woo. Man, I love it. I love it. They are, ladies and gentlemen, don't miss that. You are allowing somebody else to rent space in your mind for free. And they're in there tearing up your thoughts about yourself. So when somebody comes along and says something good about you, and this happens to so many single people too, I coaching and working with people, and they're like, they don't trust when somebody says something good to them that it could be true, because they don't see themselves that good because of the past. And you're saying this is holding people back from living their dreams.
Oh, absolutely. You got to figure, man. Especially, where we live, there's so many gifted and talented people. But like, even include myself, like, what do we struggle with? I had mommy and daddy issues. Mm-hmm. So right out the gate, I already was struggling with love and connection and certainty. So because we struggle with that, we start looking for it. And when we start looking for our mom in our relationships, or our dad in our relationships, when these people aren't even equipped to be your mother or your father. You see what I'm saying? And basically, it's like, if I see that you have a genius, right? If I see you have a talent, and let's just say I missed my time. I didn't apply myself. I didn't give myself permission to be the greatest version of me. But I'm in your life, and I see the greatest version of you. I might be a person that may not want you to succeed. So I'm gonna project my fears, worries, doubts, insecurities on you, because I don't want you to make it, because I didn't make it. Not even realizing that, wait a minute, maybe if I empower him through my story, it could turn around and bless me, so I'm able to provide and open up doors for other people. It's just like, it's so deep, man. It's not a talent thing. It's not even an opportunity thing. It's an awareness thing. People just don't know what they're capable of, because they have no sense of identity. They don't know who they are.
Wow. Literally, the words "woo" came up in the comments. They're like, "Woo!" Like, what do we do with that? I mean, that is incredible. Other people's doubts. Sometimes so your success could convict me of what I didn't do to get where you are.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, Chris made it out. How did he make it out? Now, before we go any further, you're a grown man. You're not a little guy. You're if I got I'm gonna roll with you if we going somewhere where things might be kind of shaky. You look like you can handle yourself. And you just said you had mommy and daddy issues. That is not something we talk about. We talk about daddy issues with women. And that's all anybody ever says. Women have daddy issues, and that's what's wrong with whatever woman they was dealing with, and that's it. You're a man, and you just said you have mommy and daddy issues. Help us understand. Speak to the men here today and help them understand that could be them as well.
Well, it boils down to what brought me here. It's all of my story. I can't just give you bits and pieces because now I'm not telling you the truth. The reason why I've been fortunate and humble enough to impact so many lives is because I've been transparent. I talked about the molestations when I was 4 and 6 years old. I talked about being adopted. I talked about all the hardships that I had that kept me anchored to memories of the past, which influenced the decisions I made to put me to places that could have actually just, ruined my life. I caught a drug charge, 4 or 5 years ago. It just got expunged last week.
Wow.
Actually, weeks ago. Yeah, it got expunged 3 weeks ago. Wow. But I caught a drug charge, and that's just a result of my environment, what I allowed. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And, just being in that space and, not realizing that there's a greater purpose in me if I just work a little bit harder. You see what I'm saying? Okay. And so that situation is what broke me completely down.
Let's talk about that. Okay. Let's help people understand. Where were you at in life? Where had you gotten in your career, in your life? Your uncle's gone. I'm believing at this point you started your gyms. Help us understand what you had been building. You said you caught a drug charge. There's a lot of people caught a drug charge, but their life was already down, and it was just a part of the mess. Your life, from the outside in, I was watching. Everybody I knew was talking about Chris Downing. Everybody I knew that was in shape was working with Chris Downing. Like, I'd be like, where you been? How you look like that? You ain't been to Chris Downing's gym? I'm like, no, where that at? Because it looked like he must have a potion in there because everybody came out looking great. And you're at the height of your success maybe at the time. Help us break the story down for us. What was going on leading up to that?
Carelessness, irresponsibility. That's what it boils down to. And so, at the time I was training high school teams and I had a ton of pro athletes. My gym was probably the hottest gym around here.
Definitely.
In fact, I was probably the only trainer around here training top level athletes. I still train CJ McCullum when he comes home. If I'm home, he's here for the summer. I train his brother Eric. So, and that just goes to show that despite what I've been through, they still been like little brothers to me.
I love it.
The point I'm making here is it was in that moment I hit rock bottom. But it was embarrassing. It was more embarrassing to my kids, man, and to the kids that I mentored. Like I had to clean that up.
Wow.
And the only way to clean that up is I had to create in my mind a greater version of myself. People don't even understand. I was broke. I'm talking about disconnections all over the place. People leaving my gyms. My account at Chase was in the negative for like 6 months, and they never sent me the check system. And I just knew that in that moment I had to create a new reality because what I was physically seeing was breaking me down. I was losing hope. And so what really did it, man, is it was a moment where actually my daughter was having some hardships because of me getting in trouble, and she attempted suicide. And so just out of the pressures, and I'm realizing that my actions caused this. And so, what broke me down is as I had a buddy. And this is where I can tell you like the power of your mind. Yeah. I'm looking at my life right here, right? I'm looking at everything, all the dynamics. But I realized that in order for me to overcome this, I'm gonna have to create a greater version of myself. So what I did is I wrote myself a letter. And in this letter, I wrote everything I wanted my life to be: mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Now watch, when I wrote the letter, I had to create an elevated emotion to the words so that my thoughts in the paper had a heartbeat. Just to say wasn't good enough. You had to connect it to an emotion, because when you connect it to emotion, it triggers your nervous system and goes in your subconscious. Woo! So this is all about convincing myself of who I am and not who people want me to be, or my chart, right? And so what I ended up doing is every day I would rehearse this letter to myself before I went to bed, when I woke up, throughout the day when I had hardships. But here was the catcher. I started demonstrating my life as if I already made it. I would be in my basement. Dex will tell you, I'd be in my basement just motivational speaking to spiders or ants or whatever's in my basement. So no, seriously,
wow.
I'd be projecting it as if I was already like I already made it. So when I got on the stage for Beachbody Summit in front of 25,000 people, people were like, "You had to be nervous. What did that feel like?" I said, no. That was the celebration. The breakthrough was when I was in the basement by myself, projected it like I was in front of 25,000 people. And what happened is people don't understand is I got signed to Beachbody through YouTube. I had a buddy, a really good friend of mine. He was a brother of mine, man. And out of respect for him, he wasn't able to work with me anymore. He did all my YouTube videos, but he wasn't able to work with me anymore because of my charge, and it would have been a negative impact on his brand. Out of respect. And so what I did is I bought production equipment. Didn't even know how to use it. I reached out to James Waters, the local director here. I said, "Man, is there anybody who could teach me how to use this Final Cut Pro? Because I don't know how to use it." He reached out to a couple people. They said, "No, he got a drug charge. I don't want to be around him." One guy named Josh Branch. He's an instructor at Glen Oak. He came to my house for 3 months, 2 days a week, taught me how to use Final Cut Pro. Watch this. He asked me, he said, "What's your best learning style?" My best learning style is just let me film something and edit it myself. You sit next to me. Now watch this. I took my little son, Chris Jr., to my gym. Set up the cameras with a tripod. I trained him and filmed it, right? Josh came over. I cut the tape up. Beachbody's CEO is in his Malibu estate on turf thinking, "Man, I want to do a workout on turf." He goes in his house, Googles, goes to YouTube, workouts on turf. Trillions of videos on YouTube. Guess what video popped up? The first and only video I ever filmed and recorded and edited myself.
We gotta
watch.
Wait. We gotta pause now. Hold on. Don't lose where you're at in the story. Ladies and gentlemen, I see your comments. I see y'all. I see y'all. I thank you. Keep commenting, keep sharing, keep hitting the hearts, keep hitting the laughs, keep hitting the likes. Wherever you're on, if you're on Periscope, hit them hearts on Periscope so Twitter knows to blast this broadcast. Hit those hearts on Facebook. Like it, share it on YouTube, wherever you're at. LinkedIn, thank you guys so much for being here. Again, if you're watching this by replay, stay right where you're at. If you are not able to watch this broadcast, I want you to listen to it because this is a live video podcast. But that means you can listen to it like a podcast. So it's okay if you got to do something else. Don't turn away. You don't want to miss this. We are already getting so much fire. Can you feel the heat coming off of his words? I mean, think about what he's saying, okay? Think about this stuff. Let it sink in. He was down, out, broke. He said, did y'all hear the part where he said his account was negative for months at Chase Bank? Chase, that ain't the local credit union where you know Sally and Sally gonna be cool because it's the local credit union and they can talk to the president of the company and they can be cool. No, Chase Bank ain't playing. Chase Bank don't know Chris Downing, right? But somehow, some way, by the power of God, things are moving in his favor. Things are working out for him. And his story is only about to get sweeter. Wait till you guys hear this story about the house. Chris, you're going to have to break down the house story because that's a whole nother situation. Wait till they hear the house story, ladies. Somebody type the house story in the comments. Type the house. Type tell us about the house. So we're going to hear about the house story as well. But he is giving us so much information. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be too proud to take out a pen and paper right now and start writing some stuff down. Because he just talked about the power of writing something down and changing his belief in himself. Somebody right now needs to write down what they're hearing. Not just what Chris is saying, but what God is saying to you right now about what you need to do to get where you want to go. Now is the time to do it. Chris, they tearing it up. Now, somebody's calling you Brown Bear. Paul Andrews, multiple people are calling you Brown Bear. That must be something. Well, who is Brown Bear? Real quick, tell us who Brown Bear is.
Brother Bear, it's my Power of I Am family, man. I'm their brother Bear.
Okay, Brother Bear, I see it.
It's our little language we have.
All right, Brother Bear. Okay, so a lot of people been saying it the whole time, and I haven't said anything. I'm like, what are they talking about? Who is Brother Bear? Okay, they all here. Your people, they shouting you out.
Yeah.
They got the emoji mascot and everything. They got it going in here. So, all right, so you start filming on turf with your son, and he was like, what, 18, 19? He was a big dude?
No, my son was 4 at the time. Your
4-year-old son. I thought so. I didn't know that for a fact, but I remember the journey. I'm telling you, I was a fan. I am a fan. I was watching. So your 4-year-old son and you were training. You shoot a video. You get with a guy, and he's helping you learn to cut and edit videos. Shout out, somebody tell your kids, and I've been telling my son, somebody mess around and learn how to cut and edit videos. My son wants to cut hair, Chris, and I'm like, forget cutting hair, learn how to cut videos. That's where it's at right now. So you cut up that video, and again, the owner of BeachBody sees your video. What happens after that? He calls you immediately and is like, Chris, get out here right now. What happened?
They didn't call me immediately, because when he saw my video, he went to my page, and that's where all the heat was. At the time, I was getting 160,000 views a month on YouTube. My training was in 215 countries, and this is before BeachBody.
Whew.
And what happened was he saw I had a charge. He saw I had a felony, and just kind of goes to show that his heart. They just watched me, and what happened was it was about 6 corporate members. They friend requested me on social media, and I had no idea. They followed my gym pages, and this is why I tell a lot of these young guys, man, stop posting craziness, because they watched me for 6 months to see if what I was posting every day reflected the charge. Now watch, I already told you guys a couple of minutes ago, in my mind, I projected as if I was already there. I already made it. So on my posts, even though I wasn't physically in that reality, projected like I already made it. So what happened is, because I projected it and I lived it, I believed that I embodied that emotion, that drew BeachBody to me, which gave me the platform to impact millions of lives, man. And so that's the power of your mind, man. If you really tap into the person you was created to be, the sky's the limit.
Incredible. Okay, so again, if you got your pens and paper out because you're listening here, and if you missed it, watch this replay. Save this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can make your own playlist. Put it in a playlist so it's something you can listen to in the future. Did you know you can make a playlist on Facebook and save videos? Save this video. He said that he was being watched for 6 months and didn't know it. You hear about people who are doing wrong, believing they're being watched by the police, by the feds, by somebody. You were being watched by somebody who wanted to give you an opportunity. Tell everybody, I want to say young people, but tell them again about what they need to be thinking about when they're posting on social media. Talk to them about branding and what might be happening that they don't even know about.
Oh, people are watching you, for sure. They're watching you. I try to tell, some of my friends now, don't go on social media rants, especially if you have a talent, because they're going to they don't want to finance a problem. If you're ranting on social media about a drama situation, then that means if things go sour in your business, you're going to rant about them. People don't want to finance a problem. So it's like, just watch, say a prayer or something, right? Type it up and delete it. Just don't broadcast that on social media, because you never know who's watching you.
So during that time, they're watching you. Your life wasn't perfect. So, right, if you wanted to rant and go off, you probably had plenty of stuff to go off about and cause them to question you.
Yeah. But what was I going to go off on? My own mistake. It was my fault. I put myself in that situation.
Right. I love it, because most people don't say that. And there's parts of your story already, Chris, that you've already shared with us. The financial situation, the drug charge. I didn't even ask, Chris. I didn't even ask, okay? I know, but I didn't ask. And you're so transparent. Why? Why do you think it's important for you to get so deep into the dirt of your story when so many of us see you as, we celebrate you like a celebrity? We're celebrating you. Why tell us the dirt?
Why not? It's what brought me to this place. Like, there's no way I'd be able to impact the lives that I've been fortunate able to impact if I didn't tell the whole story. One of the things that I try to tell even my Power My M family, like this personal development group we have, one of the things that's frustrating to me is where I would see really notable speakers, and they would tell you their rags to riches story, or they would tell you the story how they made it, but they didn't tell you about the time they put their car around the corner because it was getting disconnection or getting repoed, or they didn't tell you about the disconnections. They just kind of told you, I left my job and 6 months later I was making 6 figures. What about the time you slept on the couch or you had a suicidal thought? No, tell all of it, because there's somebody in the audience or, in the world that is in that spot. So to me, it's like, I have to tell it, because I don't know which person, where they're at in their journey, that needs to hear that, to just keep going. You might be 24 hours away from your breakthrough right now. Right now, 24 hours from your breakthrough right now. If you quit right now, you just missed it. You done went through all of that. You didn't come this far to come this far.
Oh, You didn't come this far to come this far. We got to keep moving. And I want you to talk to us about the power of I am as well. But what we're going to go to a segment we like to call a closer look. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. It's time for a closer look. We're bringing them in a little closer, Chris. Now your face is a little more in their camera. They can see you a little more clearly. We're side by side here, right here in your face, ladies and gentlemen. Chris, we talked about the house. The house is a story. It's a whole. It's life changing. Tell us about the house, Chris. Tell us about the house.
All right, so what's crazy is my home that I have now. When I was on probation. When I was on probation. I was in that charge. I was training this girl, and she was like, "You should buy my boyfriend's parents' house. You know, they got arrested, and their house is gonna go for sheriff's sale." And I was like, "I'm broke. I can't buy a house." Right. And so, believe it or not, BeachBody called two and a half weeks after I saw this house. Now watch. So she kept telling me about this house. And I said, "You know what?" So I rolled by the house. It had yellow tape around it. The home was vandalized. Wow. The people, I'm not going to tell their story, but some things happened and some people were upset. So they vandalized the home. They busted out every window, all the floors, all the walls. Wow. It was destroyed. Like the house, when they purchased the house, it was $550, right? But they destroyed this house. So what I did is I snuck in through a broken window. I was so fascinated by this broken house because what it did is it represented me in my broken past. Realized that all I had to do was, if I could see myself at the time, I'm still doing my affirmations and I'm still believing that there's a greater version of me. So I believe there was a greater version of this house. It represented everything I went through. So what I did is I went through every room, took pictures of every room in the house, right? I went home and started remodeling the house with internet pictures. The next day I came, parked my car in front of the house, took a picture with my car in front of the house, put Mark 1124, whatever you ask for in Jesus' name, please receive it, you'll have it, right? So I put that as the screensaver of my cell phone. Woo! No BeachBody yet. 2 weeks later, BeachBody calls, right? They fly me out to LA. I go through a series of tests. I come back home. They fly me back out 2 weeks later, go through more tests, trial to make sure I'm their guy. I ended up signing a contract in August. They gave me an opportunity to move to LA for 6 months. So I'd already been through so much. I figured, you know what, let me go. So I moved to LA. They got me an apartment. They got me a car. They took really good care of me. Now watch, this house is still the screensaver of my phone.
Whoa, wait, you're in LA. In most people's opinion, you made it, right? You were in LA. They got you an apartment. Those aren't cheap. They got you a car. That's not cheap. You're in LA, and somehow in your mind, you're still thinking about this house in Ohio.
Right. Yeah. And so the whole time, to make sure I was, going to bring my all, every day through, create my program and rehearsal, I'm listening to Eminem, Lose Yourself. Every single day, right, on the way to Beachbody haircut. I got one shot, one opportunity. Yes. I can't go back home without the bag. I can't.
I love it.
And my kids, man, I knew I had one shot, and I knew that I had that felony on me. So I had to make sure my talent, my gift was more powerful than the felony, right? And so, I was out there, filming the program, came back, and then the home went for sheriff's sale for $185. It was destroyed. They turned water on, was mold everywhere, and it had a $1.2 million tax lien on it, right? So it wasn't nothing the dude could do with it. So he sold it to another gentleman for $250. And the guy, he got to a point where all he did was fix the walls. There was one toilet and a half bath. There was no flooring. The steps were still broken. There was no carpet. There was no kitchen, no sink, no cupboards. Only thing was in here was a half bath.
This does not sound like anybody's dream home, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. This man has vision, because this does not sound like the home anybody wants.
Right. So the crazy part is a half a bath. That's it. There was nothing, guys. Nothing. Windows still boarded up and everything. And I went by the house, and the gentleman, I said, "Man, can I come in this house?" He said, "I'm sorry, dude. It'll be available in a couple months. We're still working on it. I can't let you in." I said, "You don't understand. This is my house." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You used to own it." I said, "No, you don't understand. Like, this is my house." I pulled my phone out. Look at this. Look at the picture. This is my car. I need to come. I can tell you everything about this house. I started telling this guy everything about the house. He said, "Hurry up, come on." So I'm going through, looking at all the walls, right? And I asked for the owner's name, and he gave me the name, and I said, "I want the house." He thought I was crazy. He said, "What do you mean with the house?" I said, "I want the house." He said, "It's not done. So I want it as is. I want it just like that." And so I was able to hire, Josette Clark out in Belden Village, who is phenomenal, as my interior designer. And she came in, she interior designed my whole place. And that was it, man. I ended up getting a house. And I, every day I put, my uncle in my foyer, both of my uncles as a reminder, when I walk out my room every day, these are the first people I see, as a reminder of where I came from and my purpose. And it's just an amazing thing, man. It really is.
Amazing story, Chris. I've heard this story more than once, and each time, even while you're telling it, I think you're crazy. I'm like, this is crazy. You said they thought you were crazy. I'm sitting here like, every time you say it, I picture it. I'm like, you go into this house, totally vandalized, mold. I mean, people can deal with a lot of stuff. Soon as somebody sees some mold, they like, nah, I'm not messing with it. I'm not getting into that. Who knows how deep it is into the house, into the wood, into the drywall, whatever. I don't know if I can remedy this. It's not worth it. You see a broken mess and you see yourself in the brokenness. And because you believe you can turn it around in this house.
Yeah. Here's a part that I missed out that was even crazier. A year before I knew the house was even going to be available, my assistant, she gave me this for my birthday. She gave me this compass, right? Excuse me, and the compass, I said, what's this? I said, just want to let you know, you can go anywhere in the world based on this compass. This is your vision. I said, what am I supposed to do with it? She said, 12 months from now, you're going to put it in your new house. I got the house 12 months later. It was crazy. So
man,
I didn't even thought at that time. She said, you're going to put this in your new house in 12 months. I'm like, what are you talking about? I got a little condo over here, off of Erie. And she was like, it's going in your new house. 12 months later is when I found the house.
I don't know if the audience can see, but I literally had to catch myself because I got a chill. Like, I was like, whew, like, wow. Like, to realize, to give you something as powerful and as symbolic as a compass and say, first of all, you can go anywhere in the world. And strangely, your videos, before even going to BeachBody, were being seen around the world.
Yeah.
There are people on here right now. We had a guy on the other day who talked to us about YouTube and growing a YouTube following and using TubeBuddy. Shout out to Rob Balasabas. Make sure you guys check him out, follow him. Amazing guy. It was an amazing episode. He gave us so much information on how to grow a YouTube channel. But Chris, did you even know the ins and outs of how to get to where you were going? Were you connecting dots like YouTube first, YouTube to the world to the guy at Beachbody back to the world? Were you even connecting these dots, or what was happening that was making this all happen?
Well, my buddy Jeremy he's the one that managed the YouTube channel. He's the one that got it jumping. I didn't know anything. I was just the talent.
Right.
He was the brains behind how my YouTube channel even took off. But, even after that, it was that letter I wrote to myself. Like, I convinced myself that I was this person. There was stories where I would have a disconnection on this, that in 2 days I had to pay my electric bill, right? So say on a Wednesday, I would get the disconnection and they're going to cut it off on Friday. Mm-hmm. And so I would just always tell myself the bill was paid. And I would convince myself it was paid, right? So I would go to the gym on Thursday, maybe didn't sell any packages. On Friday, didn't sell packages. Would get a call from somebody Saturday and say that, they wanted me to train their kid. But watch, the disconnection was for Friday. So I would be driving home like, man, I'm about to be in the dark, my kids. You know what I mean? So I would pull
not just you. You're talking about your kids.
Right. So I would pull in an allotment, and first I would peek around the corner and see my porch light was on. Like, yes, my lights is on. And then Saturday would get a call of a guy like, hey, can you train my kid? And I'm like, absolutely. So then he would write. He would be cash. I took the money, put the money in my account. On Monday, the electric man knocked on the door and was like, sorry, buddy, I got caught up on the job Friday. I couldn't come out here Friday, but I see that you paid the bill on Saturday. I'm just in the neighborhood reading other meters. And I would just giggle. Like, because I believed it was paid. And that is one thing to believe, but you also got to demonstrate your actions. And you got to go to work.
You got to go to work.
Like, it's going to get paid. And you're going to be, no, you're in the dark, bro.
I think that's an important part. Okay. Like, you got to go to work. All right. You can't
but you believe the bill is paid. I'm pretty sure there's plenty other, praise reports like that, for many people, bills got paid. But yeah, man, it's beautiful to sit back and, rehearse all this and hopefully it empowers somebody to keep going.
I love it. I think that it's something that it's so moving to hear somebody, because I promise you, I posted the flyer. I'm like, Beachbody trainer, shift shop, Chris Downing. Now there's people who know you and they're like, oh, we know him, we know his story. There's a lot of people who don't. They're just like, cool. Let me check this guy out. This is going to be really cool. I can't wait to hear how everything went great and how his life was great and how, he was always meant to do this. But that's not the story of Chris Downing. If they make the movie, it's not going to be riches to riches. And now, Chris, I didn't even know this, and you talked about this a little bit, and I think this is important. You talked about some things in your childhood. You alluded to them, some molestation, foster care. I did not know that about you. If you don't mind going back a little bit, and you don't have to get into every detail of all of it, help us understand a little bit about young Chris. Like, what was your childhood like?
Well, obviously I had mommy and daddy issues, so I was insecure out the gate. You know what I mean? I struggled with, love and connection, certainty. I struggled obviously with identity. And, as people, we always want to be a part of something. We always want to be accepted. That's why you see people in gangs, they just want to be a part of something. They want to be loved. And it just, unfortunately, just in a negative situation. But, I struggled a lot. I was an introverted kid. I held a lot in. And then, someone would push that button and I would blow up. But then I would feel guilty, that I would beat somebody up or say something, mean to somebody, because it broke me because I was hurting. So hurting people hurt people.
Yes.
And so as I got older, I just kept, drawing things to me that kept me in that state of need, that state of seeking my mom or seeking approval, from older people to be my dad. I said in a very powerful motivational audio I'm released on Father's Day, I was talking about my pops, and it's like, I had so many different dads, bro. I had a white dad, a black dad, a Mexican dad, an Italian dad, because it's just kind of, this space my mom was in, and everybody was my dad.
Wow.
And so I'm getting concepts from all these people, but this is short term, and it's all a reflection of my pops not being in my life. So every man she dated, unfortunately, because she was in a tough spot, it was just the hamster wheel over and over, and became in my subconscious to the point where I started doing the same thing with women. I would be with a woman for a period of time, boop, leave her, go somewhere else, boop, go somewhere else. It was just a repeated cycle, man. And, as I got older, I started realizing something that I just said in our Power of I Am group. Everybody's life is a story. The question is, what role are you in your story? Are you the hero, the victim, or the extra?
Extra.
You really gotta ask yourself that. Right? Everyone has a story. In your story right now, in this present moment, ask yourself, are you the hero of this story? Are you the victim? Or are you the extra? Are you sitting on the sidelines and watching somebody else run your life for you?
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to type in the comments, hero, victim, extra. Which one are you? And I want you guys to be honest, because somebody is an extra in their own life. You're so busy doing for everybody else. You just moving along and you just in the scene, but you ain't living for nobody but everybody, and nobody's thinking about you. Are you a victim? Are you just, stuff happens to you and everything going wrong and everything going on is going wrong for you? Or are you the hero? Are you persevering? Are you pushing through? Are you making it out? Let us know in the comments. Are you hero? Are you the victim? Or are you an extra in your movie? Now, Chris, as we talk about that type of mindset, we are dealing with one of the most unbelievable times in human history.
Right.
People are going to look back at videos like this to say, what were they talking about? What was going on? What was life like for them? You said it to me earlier when we were just talking one-on-one about the mindset of dealing with this pandemic and this isolation right now. What's your mindset, and what advice would you give to somebody out there right now who doesn't know what to do in this madness?
Well, when it happened, obviously they shut my gym down. And to me, think about the word stay home, right? Stay home, social distance. In my mind, I told myself stay home is to go back to my roots, spend more time with my family, things that I wasn't able to do a lot of because I was traveling. Socially distance yourself from negativity. You see what I'm saying? And then I made a pact. With my branding team, assistant and our Power of I Am family. I said, all right, here's the deal. Because you start hearing stories of people being laid off, and rightfully so, they were afraid. It's how they provided for their family. But I had to keep telling everybody, listen, what is the big picture in this? Like, you got to convince yourself that you coming out of this better than you went into it, because this is that quantum leap moment. This is that pivotal moment where you can ready to develop your genius. Like right now, you're forced to stay home. Yes. You're forced to spend time with your kids. A lot of people, teachers was raising our babies.
Woo, we just found that out.
School and teachers is raising your kids. Think about all the pressures we put on teachers because as parents, we ain't giving our kids what they really should get. Yes. So now they got to deal. They're trying to exercise their career, but they're raising your child, your behavior. So things like that. And to me, it was like, all right, what can I create with my team? We sat down. What can we do to make sure we better when this thing is over? And the most powerful thing about it is they never gave us a timeline when it was going to be over. So now we realize we can't take nothing for granted. Every day could be your last day. And I just had to really explain to everybody, especially people I was close to, you afraid of a virus you can't see. Now, hold on. Hold on. This is no disrespect to people who lost their life from it or who was actually had it. But let me explain something to you. This virus was once a seed, right? And we heard about it in China before it came to the United States. So when we start talking about it, we gave this thing energy. Again, you can't see it, right? And because everybody started panicking and buying all the toilet paper and all the napkins and buying all the food, you just created this unseen virus that made it more powerful than it probably could have been, right? And I started thinking to myself, if we can empower a virus we can't see, how come you can't empower the greatest version of you that you can't see?
I gotta hold on. You gotta let me catch my breath. I don't think on shows you're supposed to have radio silence, but I can't breathe. I can't breathe. We are empowering. We're empowering something we can't see. And I love what you said. To people who are suffering from corona, you're not making light of it, right? It's not. This is not a thing. This is fake news. Not that. But the fact that we gave it so much energy, like. What were y'all thinking when y'all was buying all the toilet paper? Like we are losing our minds. We're not even thinking rationally. Like toilet paper is the thing that we think is going to cause all the problems that we're going to most need. And we didn't even think about are we going to get pens and pencils and paper to educate our kids? We wasn't buckling up for that. We wasn't ready for that. We weren't putting ourselves in position to how are we going to get along in our homes? What are we going to do to help our loved ones who may be dealing with domestic violence? We didn't prepare for what was really going on. But we fed something else. And at the end of the day, you're saying we could have been feeding something far more positive. So for you and your team, what is brewing? What is stirring? What are you working on during this quarantine when your gym is closed and you can't go out and motivate people? What are you working on?
So we just got real creative. We figured, okay, there's a need. People are home with their kids. We created a 20-day family challenge. We created a 28-day motivation. We created a habit tracker that just finished. Actually, they sent us the email today. It's done. It's so powerful. It's called Developing the Greatest Version of You. We're working on a kids habit tracker. We created a motivational audio. And we created about 8 or 9 different programs. But it was really more of like, they can take your body. They can force your body to be home, but they can't trap your mind. Your mind is the most powerful thing you have. And so like, stop looking at the media and start looking inside. Yes. You see what I'm saying? Like if you listen to the media, and granted, they have to give the news, but it's all about how you perceive it. Yes. Like you're allowing them to inject fear into you. And now that this thing is just about over, you got to rewind back to the beginning. It never touched some of you. So you just like feared something that wasn't even going to come towards you. So now, why can't you feed a version of yourself that you know is in there because you got a talent? Why can't you use that same energy you took to fear this thing? And a lot of people, I had to tell a couple people, you lost their job. I said, man, God did you a favor.
Yes.
Now you get to, okay, Lucas, he did you a favor.
Yes.
But you created a pandemic. Why would you? Okay, I want to be real cautious when I say this. If I could empower every human being in the world, I would ask them, those of us who have jobs, why can't that just be a stepping stone till you get yourself to where you want to be? You see what I'm saying? Watch. Why do you have to always allow somebody to tell you what you're worth? Right? Why can't you create something yourself and you determine what you're worth? You're going to let this man tell you or this person tell you, this is what I feel you're worth, when you're the one that's driving their company to success. But they know that you don't know there's a greater version of you. So they give you a raise and you think it's a breakthrough, but really it's still giving you crumbs.
Woo!
Right? But listen, you're impacting their company.
Yes.
So if you impact their company, then you can write that book. You can record that album, right?
Yes.
You can write that blog. There's something inside of you right now that's a far greater purpose, but you're spending so much time fulfilling someone else's purpose for them and not realizing that you got your own lane.
Yes.
Like there's people that are waiting on you right now, Lucas, to become the greatest version of yourself so you can help them with your show.
Thank you, Chris. I mean, for me in this madness, in this quarantine, it has been a chance for me to grow, to do something I never thought I would do before. Your story, your words, I'm telling you, when we talked the other day, I was walking and I came back from the park and I told my wife what you said. And we both just wanted to like stay up all night and just keep grinding and keep working on the things she's working on, the things I'm working on, because we know we have gifts inside of us, but we don't always have the mindset that you have. You have a different kind of mindset, Chris. Everybody's not thinking like that. Everybody's not realizing that this is not the moment of defeat, but this is the moment, the springboard moment. This is the moment to pull it together. I remember making $5.15 an hour. I made $5.15 an hour working at McKinley Early Childhood Center with your sister Talisa and her kids and everybody, right? And I was working there and I was like, cool. I was like 16, 17 years old. I'm like, cool. I remember I got up to like $6.60. I was doing good. They gave me like 2 raises that year. I was like, ooh, $6.60. I'm killing it out here, right? Next thing you know, I made a little more. But even making a salary at some point and running the company, what really that told me was I could run my own company, right? It's not just that I can keep fulfilling someone else's dream. And everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur. Shout out to the people who are there to be support of something else. But it ain't about necessarily being an entrepreneur. Chris, speak to us about the fact that we just have gifts and purpose and help us understand your program and how you bring that out in people.
It's untapped. It's unlimited. But you got to go within to cultivate it. Like you got to be aware of who you are and not who everybody else wants you to be. You got to understand, like everybody in this world, look at your palm print. There's nobody in the world with your palm print, bro.
Crazy.
Nobody. So that should tell you that you cut from a different cloth, like you're unique. And it's like, I just feel that like some of us, we settle, man. We settle for like what we believe is comfortable. And what's comfortable is fulfilling your purpose. Nobody can take your purpose away from you. They can take your job from you. They can take your house from you, take your car, but they can't take your purpose.
Right.
And the crazy part is people like, well, you're just a positive guy because you found success. No, I used to be a felon. Like I had to build this faith. It wasn't, I had to build this mindset. It wasn't just handed to me. Like I had to make a choice. Who do I want to be from this moment forward? It was either I'm going to be inspired by survival mode or inspiration of the future. I had to choose one.
That is incredible. The hearts are going crazy. I just clicked here on Facebook to see what was going on. Shout out to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Periscope. Thank you guys for being here. We're going to wrap this up here shortly, but stay tuned. We want to listen a little bit more. We want to hear a little bit more about what Chris has to say that's going to motivate us. Thank you guys for all the love. I see you. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. This has to be changing somebody's life. Somebody today, if it's just one person, and I hope it's more than one person, but if you're watching this and this gives you the shift you need, that's what today is about. Chris, tell us, why Shift Shop? When you got an opportunity with BeachBody, why does Shift Shop, and what does it mean to make a shift for you?
Well, the program was originally called OCD, Outdoors with Chris Downing.
Okay.
But so the whole concept was, I was going to train people outdoors, right? But we couldn't find a syncing device that would block out noise. So actually, Carl, we was down to, first of all, we had 2 weeks to come up with a name. We was down to hours.
Wow.
Because we had to have a name. So I'm leaving rehearsal and my product developer said, Carl just texted me. He said, Shift Shop. And I was like, what? Straight up, what do you mean?
What is that?
It didn't resonate with me.
Right.
So I went to my apartment. I was broken. Like, man, I done went through all this work to call this program Shift Shop.
What does that mean?
Feeling that, man. So he sent a text that you and Chris meet me in the office tomorrow. So we go in his office. He said, "You don't like Shift Shop, do you?" I said, "Can I be honest?" He said, "Yeah, absolutely, be honest."
Please do.
I do. He was like, "Well, can I explain why?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I was going down somewhere in West LA or something like that. And he saw a bunch of shops, and he started thinking, people take their car to the shop to get remodeled, transformed. But what happens is they go in there, the car gets stripped, broken down, right? Sanded, repainted, put back together, whatever effects you putting on it. Open the door 4 weeks later, boom, here's your new car. He said, that's what you do to people. In your training, you break people down. You help them overcome their fears, doubts, worries, and insecurities. You patch them back together, and you send them out into a world to do great things. I said, I love Shift Shop.
Shift Shop it is.
I love Shift Shop. Great call, Coach.
Great call. It's Shift Shop, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. Yeah, I've seen it. Before it was Shift Shop, I told you I saw so many people who were working out at your gym, and they were just in the best shape of their life. Now, they do admit that there were some days where maybe their breakfast or lunch didn't quite agree with them. I don't know what was going on or what you were doing to people, but sometimes it was a little tough. You share with me a story. I think it's really cool that you've had a chance to train some professional athletes, CJ, Eric McCullum, shout out to them, and what they've done for our city and where they've gone around the world to, play an amazing sport, but also to make a huge difference. And it matters to even people like me who's watching from the outside in. Tell us a little bit. CJ McCullum, we saw him come out of Glen Oak, go to college, get drafted, and he's this guy in the league. And we're proud that somebody from here.
Killing it.
But then one summer, there's videos or posts saying you two are working out together. And the next year, the whole world knew CJ McCullum's name. What was going on in your gym that summer that transformed CJ McCullum into the all-star we know him as today?
Well, I don't think it was just me. I think I'm just a little part of that story. Yeah. He's got great trainers in Portland, and along the line, he's got a hell of a big brother in Eric that always pushes him. And so I think I'm just a little part of the story. So I can't take credit for his major breakthrough, but I will tell you that, I trained him every year since he's been at Lehigh, him and Eric both. And Eric played overseas, and Eric would always say, before I train with you, I got to train by myself for 4 weeks because I can't just come into you in terrible shape because I pushed him. So he walked in the gym one day in sandals. He was eating ribs and macaroni and cheese, right? And I was like, so you ready to throw that up? That's like, no, so you about to throw that up in about 10 minutes. And so I was like, CJ, you are rich, man. Why don't you just get a chef? And he's like, nah, I'm good. And so we got 15 minutes into it. He went outside. He came back in. That summer, man, we worked so hard. We worked so hard, man. And he went into that season. And again, I think this is a combination of his whole off-season, program with maybe a little bit of me and everybody else. He had that was his breakout year. And then not only that, people don't even understand this because it wasn't, much noted or recognized. Eric had a breakout year. He had 82 points in a game in China. People look it up on YouTube.
Wow.
82. That was the same summer.
Amazing.
So these boys was on it, man. We worked really hard. I pushed them. And I'll never forget, man, when he had that breakout season, he called me. He was like, you going to be home this week? I'm like, yeah. He said, okay. He said, what's your address? I gave him my address. I forgot that we talked. Right. 3 days later, I pulled up in front of my house, man. I couldn't even see my front door. And I'm just like, what is this? This dude got me 100 pieces of Nike, man. It was crazy.
There were boxes. The Amazon truck, the UPS guy pulled up.
Yeah.
Amazing, man. I love the stories because it gives people the buffet. They get to taste a little bit of your life in various places, the ups, the downs, the places where you can celebrate, the places I think even the brokenness that you still celebrate. Now, there's one more thing, maybe two more things I want to touch on, and I know we're right at the top of the hour. Everybody, hang with us for just a few more minutes. Chris, one thing that I think may help somebody out there is – and you tell us, you don't have to tell us the details, but I've been there too. My daughter attempted suicide. And I know the pain as a father. I know what it's like being there in the hospital with your child, praying and hoping. And I spent days in Akron Children's Hospital at night with the cover over my head crying. And when the morning came and she was awake, I was like, we cool, sweetie, we gonna make it. Everything is cool. But really I was scared to death and broken and hurting. And there's a personal level of guilt as a parent, like what I could have changed. And in your story, you said you could see the direct tie. Talk to us. Right. Talk to somebody out there right now whose child is dealing with some difficulty, maybe because of their choices, maybe because of something else. How do you get through that moment? And then how do you repair things with your child?
I think that this always gets me, man, because I know that. Hold on one second.
I
Sorry about
appreciate.
that.
Hey, listen, take your
Um,
time, and we appreciate your
I think
openness.
that, I think that it was my fault, man.
Wow.
You know, I felt it was my actions, and then she started getting bullied. You know, I put her in a very bad place. You know, and so, you know, she's a young, beautiful girl, just wants to go to school and get her diploma and figure out what she wants to do with her life. And then, you know, she's a daddy's girl, you know, and then I get busted, you know, selling drugs or a drug charge. And, you know, her whole world is like, if my dad goes to prison, this is my dad. Right. And so, you know, I just took 100% responsibility for it. I realized that, you know, it was my fault that put her in that place. And I knew that when I knew there was a place she didn't deserve to be. And so, you know, there's a protocol, obviously, when they put you on a psych ward. And,
Yes.
And her mother and I went up to see her. And then, you know, I'm seeing other kids up there that's really going through it.
Yes,
right.
I've been there.
I'm looking at my daughter like, you was being a brat. Like, like you, this isn't even our lifestyle, but not realizing it was really my fault.
Wow.
And so, and she looks at me and she said, Dad, I don't even belong in here. And I'm like, I know you don't. So it was just, man, it was one of them situations where it will always be with me. Yeah. And so if you have a kid, I will tell you this, if you have a child, you know, our kids now, they have different problems than we had growing up. They have different emotional problems. It's social media and different things. It's a different world. Like our kids nowadays are so weak emotionally. Like they don't have that mental strength we had, right? And so I think it's most important that you get to learn your kid and you got to speak to them. Like you can't be their best friend. You got to be their parent. Yeah. And so important that you really understand their language. Like even though we grew up in a different era, their problems are real. Yes. Like you have to hear her cry or his cry because they're crying out to you. And there's different signs, you know, isolation and all these different things, man. No, they just don't want to be. No, that's a situation. Wow. You know, isolation is a real situation. It's not that they just want to be in their room watching TV. They're isolated for a reason. Yeah.
That's so big. I can't thank you enough for the transparency. They're sending hugs. They're sending bear hugs to the bear community out there, and there's a lot of love coming in from everybody. And ladies and gentlemen who are here live, thank you. If you're watching this by replay, this is something that you may have dealt with, maybe dealing with. Sit down and watch this broadcast with your children, with your families. This is a family show, and today's topic was something that can motivate and inspire anybody. Now, Chris, before we wrap this up, I want you to tell us about your slogan, your motto, what you live by, your brand. Help us understand it. And help us and give us a little word of motivation, you know, as we close this thing down.
Just my life's mission is to empower, love, and inspire. You know, I ask people all the time, especially my Power by M group. We could, if they all had a mic, they all say verbatim what I'm gonna say. The number one way of creating, you know, your identity is you got to know who you are. Like, what's the vision and the mission statement for your life? Yeah. And it's something that you get to choose. Once you choose that opens up a whole new world for you and opportunities. If you don't choose it, you allow somebody else to choose it for you, and then you start taking on their problems. Yes. And so I always, you know, I knew that when I overcame these obstacles, man, that I was going to empower people to become the greatest version of themselves. I was going to love on them unconditionally because I lacked love growing up. And I was going to tell my story transparent to inspire them. And that's it.
That's everything. That's everything.
And I'll stick into it.
That's everything. That is awesome. Yeah. What a wonderful way for us to end this discussion. There's so much more. Chris, if people want to follow, if people want to follow you, I think everybody wants to follow, and at least you guys make sure you're following them on multiple social medias. Let them know how to do that. And if they want Shift Shop, and then if they want to work with you in your personal development group, how do people get a hold of you?
So actually, believe it or not, we're going to do something real special for everybody. So if they're already in my friends, that they're going to get some invites, we're going to give them 7 days into my new website. It's called Downing University. It's an actual university. They
Love
get
it.
7 days to try out all the good stuff, personal development. But
Love
I'm on
it.
IG at the Chris Downing. But if you really want to know more, just go to www.thechrisdowning.com, and we're doing some powerful stuff in there, man. Powerful.
thechrisdowning.com. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go there. Make sure you check it out. Sign up. I think you can sign up for a newsletter, sign up to be a part of the group to make sure you get the notifications. He's doing amazing. People say people are doing big things. He's doing deep things. I mean, things that are, it's not just big, it's deep work. It's foundational. He's digging up some stuff for some people, helping people relay the foundation of their life. And I think that's so much better than just doing big things. There's a lot of people doing big things, but they're not really making a deep impact on people's lives. He's impacting children and families who are at home right now during the quarantine to keep them active and working and together and building community. He's doing things for individuals, even to the men out there, to what he said about having mother and father issues. Men, I hope you heard that. If you didn't, rewind, watch the replay, listen to what he said. I just think there was so much, and I think you touched on something that would touch any person today, Chris. So I can't thank you enough. The goal is education, motivation, liberation. You taught us stuff. You definitely motivated us. We're ready to run. Nobody's going to bed tonight. Everybody's staying up and they're going to grind tonight and get them some work done. And you set us free. You set us free to tell our story because you told your story. We could see you as the shift shop, the Beachbody guy, but you told us about felon Chris. You told us about the father whose child attempted suicide, Chris. You talked to us about broke, didn't have any money, account in the negative, hoping your lights aren't cut off, Chris. I can't thank you enough. That's what this show is about. It's about bringing reality to people. Chris, I can't pay you for what you've done today, but I want to thank you.
You, man. Thank you so much for having me on your show, man. You got something special here, man. Keep riding it out. Keep growing, man.
Thank you so much, man. I'll always remember this, and we'll rewind back one day. You'll come on again, and we'll talk about this day and where we were and where we both are in the future. And I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to be picturing myself in the future, believing what God can do for me. So thank you so much, my friend. To all our wonderful guests, you guys, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have been a wonderful audience. Thank you for your comments. There's so much love. Chris, when this broadcast goes off, please jump into the comments. There's people who are sending you so much love. You're going to have to get in there and get back with them. It might take you all night. I don't know if you can get with all these comments, but, send them some love and let them know what they mean to you, and I can tell how much you mean to them. So thanks again, Chris. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for our wonderful guests. You guys have been great. Thank you guys for joining us here on another episode of Lucas Live. We come on Sunday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, every night with great guests. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel at Lucas Tyndale and go back and watch the replays of all the other amazing guests we've had. We've had filmmakers, we've had authors, we've had social media experts, we've had YouTubers, we've had a divorce attorney, a Christian divorce attorney who said to us, she talked to us about what happened when her husband left her for another man and the impact of that and how she felt about that. It was a powerful, powerful episode. Shout out to Christian Family ESQ. Make sure you check out that episode, and to all the others, Derek Curry, Rashad Polk, Alex Simon, all the great guests we've had on here, Shamika Dean. I can go on and on, Javen Shaw. I can't name everybody, but I want to thank everybody who's been a part of this journey with me, to our wonderful audience, to our followers, and to our new followers. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody have a great night. Thank you guys for being here with us. We appreciate having you.